Welcome back to my channel, Glitter Babes. Today I'll be creating a headboard using foam from Home Depot. This piece of foam that I'm using today is 8 by 4 feet. And as you can see, I drew a mark in the middle of the board, and I'm going to be using this square to help trace out the pattern. And this is one of the DIYs where I would rather show you than to explain what I'm doing. And now I'll be using this ruler to extend the line from the bottom and connect it. And I will be tracing out a parallel line, and you'll be able to understand why I'm making parallel lines towards the middle of the video. And everything I'm doing to the right side of the board, I'm going to do to the left. And I'm also going to be using this square to make sure that my lines are straight and even. And I'm also making sure the points are lined up. And now I'm moving to the top of the board, and I'm going to be doing the same exact design that I did to the bottom. Now I'll be doing the same exact design to the right side of the board. The only difference is that the side of this board is longer than the top and the bottom because it's 8 feet long. So the lines will go out longer, obviously. And next I wrote down the measurements. So the spaces should be 10 inches, and then the bottom and top will be 7. And now I'm making sure the left side mirrors the right. And this is how it looked when it was completed. And one thing I didn't realize when I was tracing out the design was that I did double lines in the middle, which would have meant that the spaces in the middle would be even bigger. So I decided to draw one single X in the middle, and I'm going to cut out that instead of the double X. After that was done, I took my box cutter and I started to cut out the pieces. So I'm going to cut out each line. And by the way, the extra pieces that I cut off, I made sure I kept them, and I'm so glad I did, and I'll explain why towards the end. And this is how all my pieces look now that they're cut out. Next, I'll be using another piece of foam, which is 8 by 4 feet, and I'm going to be placing my pieces back on top. And the reason why that random green panel was there is because I totally forgot about this step, so I had to go back. Now that I'm done, I'm going to take my permanent marker and trace out each shape. And by the way, I did remove that gold foil from the main board, and I wish I didn't, because the tape that I'm using for the next step wouldn't stick on to the foam. And this is the step that I'm talking about. This tape did not stick on to the board because I took that film off. So if you do decide to do this project, you can put the tape on the foam, just do not remove the film. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you all how I did this step, but this is not my final step for this tape. I had to do something else later on, and I will show you what I ended up doing. Because right now the tape is sticking, but later on they did peel back up. And this is how it looked when I was done. Next, I got a bunch of fabric, and when I say a bunch, I got a bunch. I don't know why I thought I would need all of this, but I only ended up using around like 10 yards, maybe less. And I will be using a Gorilla Glue adhesive spray to attach the fabric to the foam. And I did peel the film off of the shapes just because I'm not using batting, and I didn't want that shiny stuff to shine through. Next, I am placing all my shapes where they belong on the board. And you can kind of see where the gold tape has shifted because they're not lining up with the pieces. So since they were not lining up, I did take those pieces that I cut off earlier and I just covered them with tape. And I actually like the turnout better. Next, I will be taking this Gorilla Glue adhesive and I will be gluing the shapes down. And I'm not using a crazy amount, I'm just putting dots on there. And the funny thing is some of the tape actually stuck, so those pieces I did leave where they were. So if you do see some gold, it's just because they actually did stick to the board. And this is how the board looked when all the pieces were added. Next, I'm going to be creating a frame to go on the top of the headboard, and I'm going to be using two 8-foot pieces of wood, and the pieces going across are 8 inches. I'll also be attaching these L brackets to hold everything in place. Now that I've connected one side, I'm going to go ahead and connect the other one. And I did the same thing to the other side of the board. And I'm going to be adding this piece in the middle to make sure that it's sturdy. And this is how the frame looked when I was done. Next, I got these 48-inch curtain rods from Target, and I'm going to be connecting them on each side of the frame. And the side that I'm connecting them on will be the front side of the frame, so remember that, because I want the curtains to sit in the front of the frame and not the back. And these are the hooks that I screwed in. And I'm going to be removing both rods and adding them back on later. Next, I'll be adding on this gold mirror that I got from Target, and I'm just screwing it at the top, and I'm putting in one more screw on the side. And you can't really see what I'm doing over there. I had no idea the camera wasn't centered, so I apologize, but this is what I did to the other side. Next, I cut out these pieces of cardboard, and I'm going to be covering them with fabric and adding them to the sides. And this is how they look when they were finished. And now I'm going to start gluing them on. And by the way, one panel is longer than the other, and that is because the mirror isn't centered like I thought it was, and I didn't realize until the end. But I won't tell nobody if y'all don't. I'll also be adding this strip of cardboard to the back to connect the corner pieces and to connect the front panel to the mirror. And you can also use a piece of wood for this to make it more secure. And I will be adding these corner brackets to hang it up. Next is the fun part. I am hanging up my headboard, and I'm just using screws since the headboard isn't heavy. And now I am hanging up the frame, and I did use those L brackets to connect it to the wall. Next, I cut out 3 yards of fabric, and I folded it over the curtain rod, and I'm just using my hot glue gun to fold the fabric over and glue it. And you can also use fabric tape and an iron, and that will work just as well. And there goes my little curtain, and I did this for the other rod, and now I'm going to hang it up. And I am attaching it to the hooks that are already there from earlier. And I did add these 4 mirrors to the top mirror, and this is how it turned out. I loved it. This project was very inexpensive to make, and I had a lot of fun making it. I hope you all enjoyed this DIY. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and please hit that notification bell, and I'll see you later, glitter babes.